Hi everybody, we hope you are doing great. Today, Carolina and me, Alejandrina, are going to talk about APA style citations. But first, let's talk a little bit about the history of APA, which is the American Psychological Association. It was founded on July 1892 by a small group of men that were interested in the new psychology. This group of men elected 31 individuals. With them was G. Stanley Hall as the first president of the association. The rapid and incredible growth in APA's membership increased 630% from 1945 to 1970, from 4,183 to 30,839 members. Later, from 1970 to 2000, APA membership grew to 88,500 members with another 70,500 affiliates. So this was getting bigger. APA's founding was part of a large number of changes occurring in the United States of America then. One of them was the emergence of academic disciplines such as psychology, economics, political science, biochemistry, and physiology. And also the progressive movement in politics, which called for a better social order. So, the leaders of APA reorganized during World War II. Now, the association's scope included professional practice and also the promotion of human welfare as well as the practice of the science of psychology. Psychology boomed after the end of World War II, and several factors fueled this growth. Many returning servicemen needed better psychological services. For the first time, psychology was a field in both science and practice. This new field was richly funded for training and research. So that's how psychology started growing. But let's get back to our main topic. Why is it important to cite? There are 3 reasons to cite the materials you use. To give credit to another's work and ideas, whether you agree with them or not. To show readers the materials on which you base your analysis, your narrative, or your conclusions. To guide readers to the materials you have used so they can examine it for themselves. So, there are 3 major citation styles: the Chicago or Travian, used in many fields, MLA, used in the humanities, and APA, used in social science, education, engineering, and business. This is the 7th edition of the APA Style Publication Manual. Here you are going to find everything that you need to cite properly. In the next slide, there is a video about this new edition.
To students, professionals, and everyone from border to border, coast to coast, and around the globe, APA-style experts fielded 30,000 questions that inform the exciting changes to the 7th edition of the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. Which means you've asked, we've listened, and now we present an up-to-date, easy-to-use style guide for all your academic writing pursuits.
APA Style helps writers present their ideas in a clear, concise, and organized manner. Here are 7 things you should know. All formats are now in full color. The spiral version even features tabs. It's filled with 100 plus simplified in-text citations and new reference examples. Includes a sample paper for students. Brings a new chapter on journal article reporting standards, JARS. Offers a new chapter on bias-free language guidelines. Gives updated guidelines for formatting tables and figures consistently. And 7, advises on ethical writing practices and how to get published.
Our next guest needs no introduction. This book isn't its old self. It's been completely updated with major enhancements for readers everywhere. It even endorses the singular they and recommends using just one space after a period at the end of a sentence. The publication manual of the American Psychological Association is on sale in October, folks.
Critics say it's hard to find APA-style answers. What do you say to them?
Now, in full color and offering a tabbed spiral version, the APA publication manual is easier to use than ever.
Is there anything more to the new edition than that?
Precise communication is the name of our game. From best practices to up-to-date guidance and help with disseminating research findings, everyone can write with ease and clarity.
Isn't there a limited audience?
Not at all. The APA publication manual is more widely used than ever before. More than 15 million copies have been sold worldwide and is being translated into 13 languages. More than 100 academic programs now use it. With all of these amazing statistics, you've got a story to tell. Now get out there and say it in APA style.
Well, there you have it. The 7th edition of the publication manual of the American Psychological Association is destined to be an instant bestseller. Here's wishing you clear, powerful, inclusive, and persuasive writing.
In the following slides, we are going to view different ways to cite using the APA format. There are very many ways to cite, such as personal communications, citing traditional knowledge or oral traditions of indigenous peoples, classroom or intranet resources, etc. But for the purpose of this presentation, we will only cover the following: in-text citation, which includes parenthetical and narrative, quotations, quotations from research participants, and secondary sources. We'll start off with a brief explanation of in-text citation. In-text citations have two formats, parenthetical and narrative. In the parenthetical citations, the author name and publication date appear in the parentheses. In narrative citations, the author name is incorporated into the text as part of the sentence and the year follows in the parentheses. Parenthetical in-text citation. Both the author and the date, separated by a comma, appear in parentheses for a parenthetical citation. A parenthetical citation can appear within or at the end of a sentence. Here we can see an example below. Falsely balanced news coverage can distort the public's perception of expert consensus on an issue. Here we can see the parenthesis opens, author is mentioned, followed by a comma, followed by the year, parenthesis closes, and a period at the end. If other text appears with the parenthetical citation, we use commas around the year. Here we can see in the example below. It says the parenthesis opens, it says the word see, then the author is mentioned, followed by a comma, followed by the year, followed by another comma for more detail, and then the parenthesis closes. Continuing with parenthetical in-text citation, when a text and a citation appear together in parentheses, use a semicolon to separate the citation from the text. Do not use parentheses within the parentheses. As you can see in the example below, in the middle, we can see falsely balanced news coverage, which is part of the text, and then semicolon, and then author, comma, year, and then the parenthesis closes. We will now continue with narrative in-text citation. The author's surname appears in running text and the date appears in parentheses immediately after the author's name for a narrative citation. The author's name can be included in the sentence in any place it makes sense. In the example shown below, we can see that the author is included at the beginning of the sentence, but as soon as the author is mentioned, so is the year in parentheses. In rare cases, the author and date might both appear in the narrative. In this case, do not use parentheses. Here we can see that the author and the year are also included at the beginning of the sentence, but there was no need for parentheses. Next, quotations. A direct quotation reproduces words verbatim from another work or from your own previously published work. It is best to paraphrase sources rather than directly quoting them because paraphrasing allows you to fit material to the context of your paper and writing style. Use direct quotations rather than paraphrasing when reproducing an exact definition, when an author has said something memorably or succinctly, or when you want to respond to exact wording. Quotations from research participants. Quotations from participants whom you've interviewed as part of your research are treated differently than the quotations from published works. When quoting research participants, use the same formatting as for other quotations. Present a quotation of fewer than 40 words in quotation marks within the text. Present a quotation of 40 words or more in a block quotation indented below the text. Because quotations from research participants are part of your original research, do not include them in the reference list or treat them as personal communications. State in the text that the quotations are from participants. Lastly, secondary sources. In scholarly work, a primary source reports original content. A secondary source refers to content first reported in another source. Cite secondary sources sparingly. For instance, when the original work is out of print, unavailable, or available only in a language that you do not understand. Follow these directions when citing a secondary source. In the reference list, provide an entry for the secondary source that you used. In the text, identify the primary source and write as cited in the secondary source that you used. Continuing with secondary sources. If the year of the publication of the primary source is known, also include it in the text citation. For example, if you read a work by Lyon et al. That was published in 2014 in which Rabbit's work from 1982 was cited, and you were unable to read Rabbit's work yourself, cite Rabbit's work as the original source, followed by Lyon et al.'s work as a secondary source. Only Lyon et al.'s work appears in the reference list. In the example seen below, we see the primary source is mentioned first, and then we have to say, as cited in, followed by the secondary source. If the year of the primary source is unknown, omit it from the in-text citation. So you, in this case, in this example, you would only put as cited in Nicholson 2003. You wouldn't include the primary source because the year is unknown.
In October 2019, the American Psychological Association introduced the 7th edition of the APA Publication Manual, which replaces the 6th edition published back in 2009. In this video, we'll go over the 17 most notable changes on citing sources, formatting paper, and writing inclusively and bias-free. Hi, I'm Jessica from Scribber, here to help you achieve your academic goals. Let's start with the most notable changes in citing sources. Number 1. The publisher location is no longer included in the reference. The publisher, in this example Simon & Schuster, is placed right after the book title, without including the city and state New York. Number 2. The in-text citation for works with 3 or more authors is now shortened right from the first citation using et al. In the 6th edition, sources with 3, 4, or 5 authors were given in full the first time the source was mentioned. Number 3. You should include surnames and initials for up to 20 authors in the reference list. In the 6th edition, it was up to 7. Number 4. The label DOI: is no longer necessary. DOIs are now formatted as URLs. Number 5. You no longer need to write retrieve from in front of the URL, unless a retrieval date is needed. You now also include the website name, unless it's the same as the author. Number 6. For ebooks, the format, platform, or device, for example, Kindle, is no longer included in the reference. Number 7. Clear guidelines are provided for including contributors other than authors and editors. For example, if you want to cite this video, make sure to include Scribber as the author. Number 8. Dozens of examples are included for online source types such as podcast episodes, YouTube videos, and social media posts. The 7th edition of the APA Publication Manual includes guidelines on inclusive and bias-free language for topics such as gender, age, disability, racial and ethnic identity, and sexual orientation. Number 9. The singular they or their is endorsed as a gender-neutral pronoun. Instead of saying he or she, you're encouraged to say they. Number 10. Instead of using adjectives as nouns to label groups of people, descriptive phrases are preferred. So instead of saying the poor, you should say people living in poverty. Number 11. Instead of broad categories, you should use exact age ranges that are more relevant and specific. So use people in the age range of 65 to 75 years old instead of over 65. The APA also provided different paper format guidelines for professional and student papers. You can find a sample paper for both types in the manual. Some of the format changes include: Number 12. Increased flexibility regarding fonts. Options include Calibri 11, Arial 11, Lucida Sans Unicode 10, Times New Roman 12, and Georgia 11. Number 13. The running head on the title page no longer includes the word running head. It now contains only a page number and the paper title. Number 14. The running head is omitted in student papers, unless your instructor tells you otherwise. Number 15. Heading levels 3 to 5 are updated to improve readability. For level 3, instead of indenting, it's now flush left and also italicized. Level 4 headings are no longer italicized. A level 5 heading is now bolded. In terms of style, not much has changed, but there are 2 changes you should know about. Number 16. Use only one space after a period at the end of the sentence. Number 17. Use double quotation marks to refer to linguistics examples instead of italics. So when will people start using the 7th edition APA manual? The APA expects that people will start using the 7th edition in the spring of 2020, but make sure you check with your supervisor or journal publisher which edition you should adhere to. The manual is now available in full color. You can choose between a hardcover, spiral bound, or ebook. If you're interested in getting yourself a copy, check the link in the description. That's it for this video. Make sure you give this video a like, and if you have any questions about the new changes, ask away in the comments. See you soon!
Extra notes. In the description box below the video, we have provided a link that will take you to a special Apple Citation note sheet for you to keep close and as another source to help you with the activity. In case it is missing in the description box, you may type the following address in your browser's address box. Activity time. Also included in the description box below the video is a link to the activity that must be turned in. In case the link is missing in the description box, just type the following address in your browser's address box. Here we've provided a list of all the references needed to be consulted in order to make this presentation possible. They will also be included in the description box below this video. Thank you.